Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. So today we're going to be using the Spellbinders Steamboat Willie, and I've made this camera box, little lid, and then to the side, happy birthday. So these are the dies that I've used. So I've used the flags and banners, the frames and the sentiments, the classic mouse alphabet, and these are just a few of the others that are in the range. Oh, and also I've used my life in picture, the smile and the film. So let's get started. I'm just going to grab my scoreboard. Okay, right, what you need is, to make the base of the box, you need two pieces that are 8 1/4 by 5 1/2. So this is what we're going to make. So on the long side, if you score at 1/2 inch and 2 inches, and flip it round and score 1 1/2 inches twice. So you need 2 of those to make the base. And then for the lids, you need a piece which is 8 1/4 by 3 1/2. And on the long side, we're going to score at 1 inch, flip it round and score at 1 inch. And then on the short side, we're going to score at 1 and 2 1/2. And that's all the scoring. Grab my glue. So we're going to make the base first. So this is what we need. Cold and burnish. Okay, so it's in black. I hope you can see it. So we're going to make this end piece our tab. So cut that at an angle, and this is going to be our tab, so you can cut that bit off. On this score line, you want to keep this one straight, so cut up to the score line, and then you can make that one into a tab. That bit off, and then just this top corner, I'm just going to take a slight little bit over. That's our box. 2 of those, and then for the lids, fold and burnish. Okay, alright, so this is the back of the box, so we need to cut these corners off. So again, keep that one straight. I'm cutting on the score line, and then I'm just going to wedge ever so slightly on this one. Same on this side, so that one goes straight, and then a little wedge on that. So that becomes the back of our box. And then on the front side, you want to keep these corners straight, like so. And basically what we're doing is we're moving that round. So then I'm just going to take a little wedge off of that one and a slight off of there. We do the same on the other side, so keep that one nice and straight, little wedge, and a little wedge. So that makes our box. So what I'm going to do is grab my glue, and we're going to glue that one. Keep it nice and straight. And do the same on this side. So glue your tab. And that's our lid. and then grab your bases, and all we're going to do is glue these together. So glue on the tab, line them up at the top, flip it over, and then we'll fold the first one in, glue on this tab, and fold it over. This is our very basic box. Okay, so you'll end up with that. Alright, and this end, I like to fold one side in and then the tabs and then that one over. So what we're going to do is we're going to glue the tab on that side. I'll fold that in. Do the same on this end. Fold that one in. And then we're going to glue this piece here. What's going on with my glue today? And fold that in. So that becomes the base of our box. And then you can get in there with your bone folder and just push that down. Make that secure. Okay, so that's our box. Now take your lid, and basically what we're going to do, we're going to glue that inside so it makes it like a hinge lid. Sorry about that, my glue had run out. So we're going to add glue to this tab, so, and then we're going to stick it in the back of the box. And the easiest way I found is if you actually put the lid on as if you're going to close the box, and then hold that for a couple of seconds. And then you can get in there and push it down. And that is our basic box. Okay, so what I've done is I've cut some pattern pieces. So for the front is 6 by 3 3/4. So we're going to stick that on the front. Now to make it a bit stiffer, I like to use this Kalau glue, and all I do is decant it into a smaller bottle so it's easier. So we're going to stick this on the front. So you should have a nice little border all the way round. And then the side pieces are 1 1/4 by 3 3/4. So again, you glue that on the side. So obviously, if it's a directional pattern, try and line it up so that it looks the same all the way round. And then the same with this piece. Nice and straight. Okay, and I'm going to put that to one side and let that dry. Now, with the back piece, I've done this a little bit bigger. So this is 6 6.5 by 4, and the reason for that is we need to get this film strip in, and the film strip is quite long. So what you need to do is, I've got a piece which is 6.5 by 2 inches, so that's going to go in there. We're going to stick our film strip like so, and then I've just cut a 1/2 inch scrap of paper. So the first thing I want to do is, so I know how far we can go up to, is get a really skinny strip and put that along the bottom there, like so. And then you've got something that you know that you can butt your cardstock up to. And then what we're going to do is we want this as close to this edge as possible. So we're going to stick this down on that strip and put it on my hand just to get the edges. And then we're going to so that one's butted up there, and then we're going to line this up with this edge of the paper and lay that down. So now we know that when we pull that out, it's going to be in the right place. So with the 1/2 inch strip, what we're going to do, we're going to wrap this around the end, and this is going to make a stopper, if you like. Don't do it too tight. And then cut that off. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this in half, and then we can use half for the front as well. So this is our end. So literally, that's our end, sorry. You want this longer end for the tab to pull out. So I'm going to glue that on to there. So that's our little stopper. That goes on there. And then with this piece, the other half what we cut off, we're just going to make a loop. So don't do it too tight, because you want to be able to slide that in and out. So just glue that little tab there. Do that. So we're making a little loop. Make sure it fits. You don't want it too loose, but you also don't want it too tight. So that can slide in and out quite easily, like that. Take your loop off, and then what we're going to do, we're going to glue the loop to this edge. So what I'd like to do is grab another foam tape and put that across the bottom, so we know we've got left ourselves enough room. Then we're going to butt that up like so, and then we're going to glue our strip on there. Glue that on. We're going to glue that to that edge. Okay, so it's right on that edge. Let that sit for a minute, and then got all the little bits and pieces already die cut out. I've got some letters here somewhere. Oh, where they gone? There they are. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to happy birthday. So it's up to you what you want to put in here. You could put pictures in there, you could put a message in there, whatever, you know, whatever you're using this box for, basically. I just thought it'd be quite nice for photos, or if you've been to Disney, your tickets, or whatever whatever you want to keep in there as a sort of a little memory box, really. Or obviously you can give it as a birthday gift box. So we'll stick those in the centre. And that on there. Okay, let that dry. Then what we're going to do is you're going to slide that through that little loop that you've made, and as it comes out, that is our little stopper. So push that through. Right, so try and keep it straight, and then what we're going to do, we're going to add some more foam tape. Oh, not so close, because we want it to be able to move. Yeah. Oh, sorry. So don't go too close to this edge, because you need this part to be able to slide. Okay. It's a lot easier once it's stuck on the box. And then foam along the top. Oh, I would say if you've got a pull stamp or you're going to write it on, I would do it now before you stick it in the box, because that makes it a lot easier. With my one, what I did is I just did it on the computer and then just stuck it on. Just stuck a little bit of card on there, because I haven't actually got a pull stamp. So, right, so we're going to take the back ends off of these. Grab our box, and basically we're just going to line this up. Like so. That's all nice and concealed, and then you've got your message pops out. And the more you do it, the looser it becomes. Okay, and then what I did was I just tabbed the corners, and then you've got something to pull on, like so. That's our basic box, and now it's just to decorate it. Let's get rid of all these little bits of pieces. So what I did, I've used the smile from the film strip, which we're going to put there. I then cut from the banners, which is this one. So we've used those two dies there. And so I've cut those, so I'm going to decorate, put those on there like so. I made an extra one which is going to go on the top there, and then for the shaker what I've used is the frame and sentiments. So you get these 3 dies. So basically to create the black bit, cut all 3 together. Then I cut it in holographic, so I took out that bit, so that made us the backing, if you like. Then I cut that in acetate and then that in black, and that made a little shaker which we're going to put on the front there. And then I also, from that same set, I cut some stars, so we're going to put these on the front here, wherever you want them to go. Quickly whiz through That's our completed box. Our message on there. You can put a hole punch in there and add some string if you want to. And it's just a nice little flip open box. So that's the 2 that we've made. Oh, add some gems if you've got some bigger gems. Just finishes it off. Right, I'm just going to clear all this away, and then I'm just going to go through some of the other cards that I've made with this collection. So bear with me. Okay, so here's some of the other bits and pieces that I've made. So I used my cricket to make the 3. That's quite cute. And then this is just a square box. I put some oasis in the bottom and then used the die cuts, and these are lolly sticks. And I thought that would be quite nice on a table at a birthday party. I had to make a mix of the ears, so all I've used is nested circle dies. This is a Spellbinders bow. It's a big bow. It was out last year maybe. I will link everything, and then obviously made that into a little easel. This one, I've used the bow and the sun are from the Dolce Vita, and then the borders and Mickey from this collection. This one, so what I did was I printed the look inside out on my computer, made the little box for the crayons, and then I've used the press plate, or the better press plate, and I thought that was quite a nice little gift really for if you were doing a party or something along those lines. Like that. And then I made another little shaker. I thought this was quite cute for a first birthday. So you have my heart, and I've used the better press and that film strip again on this card. And then this one is a Let's Party. So I've used the nested arches, Spellbinders nested arches. And then our last one is the little happy birthday, which goes with the these and the 3, and those 3 together. I hope you enjoyed the tutorial. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you again soon.